Biden demonstrated a lot of compassion to people who have lost so much, and I think Americans appreciated that. But there's no real optimism there. There's no real timetable for how things are going, how numbers are coming way down, and how vaccines are getting done left and right. There's no optimism about that. And this guy has gone 50 days now without scheduling a formal press conference. Trump only waited 28 days into his presidency. Obama only waited 21 days. George W. Bush waited 34 days before taking any questions from the press. Biden has signed dozens of executive orders. He has signed the second largest stimulus package in our history, the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. He has yet to take a question from a reporter in a formal press setting. Now, let's talk a little bit about the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. As Rich Lowry wrote, it's neither COVID nor relief bill. It's neither a COVID nor a relief bill. Only a tiny portion of the spending in this bill goes toward vaccinations and other priorities directly related to the pandemic. Democrats are telling themselves, well, this is like 1933 when we were in the midst of a depression. Rich Lowry points out it's really more like 1983 when we were coming out of a punishing recession. Or to put it another way, the Biden bill is reacting to the wrong spring. It is no longer the cataclysmic spring of 2020 with the economy shuttered, nothing to fight the virus except social distancing and masks. It's the much more hopeful spring of 2021 with the economy opening up, COVID cases steeply declining, and vaccinations ramping up massively. Jobless claims have decreased. Personal incomes are higher than when the pandemic started. Both the CBO and Goldman Sachs are projecting rapid economic growth in 2021. Nearly 20% now of the U.S. population has received at least one vaccination shot. You know what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen. Biden is going to take credit for an economy that he's not having much to do with at all. As Rich Lowry puts it, it's doubtful that the checks that are going to start going out, incidentally, this weekend, as early as this weekend, the checks of $1,400 to individuals, to most people, aren't even necessary. It is more supply than demand, i.e. businesses being closed or the supply chains disrupted. So from where Biden sits, why not spend as much as possible under the rubric of COVID relief? To paraphrase Rahm Emanuel, a pandemic is a terrible thing to waste. And here's the worst part of this. This is the most frustrating part that we all have to just live with. Assuming the bill does not cause some disastrous unintended consequence, the bill will allow Biden to take credit for a roaring economic recovery that is already building. This might be shrewd politics, but it isn't evidence-based or bipartisan governance. It's getting while the getting is good and assuming that no one will notice. Well, we're noticing. Rich Lowry's column will post from the New York Post at MikeOnline.com. You can read the whole column, how Biden's COVID relief bill is this enormous bill that is neither COVID relief or even a relief bill. And, you know, when Rich Lowry accurately points out that Biden is going to try to take credit now for the economy, it's just like the vaccine and relief from COVID or fighting and defeating COVID. The Biden administration refuses to give any credit to the reason we have the vaccines in the first place. Biden didn't have anything to do with the development of the vaccines. The Biden administration had nothing to do with these vaccines being available now to Americans and to the world. It took some no-name advisor to the White House COVID-19 response, a guy by the name of Andy Slavitt, on Bill Hemmer and Dana Perino's show yesterday, to admit to something that nobody else in the Biden administration that I'm aware of has done. And that is give credit where credit is due. If it weren't for the Trump administration, we wouldn't be getting vaccines.
And I think we're grateful for the work that came before us and are doing the best we can to continue it and accelerate it.
So you are grateful for the work that came prior to this. So you would tip your hat to Operation Warp Speed?
I would absolutely tip my hat to. I mean, this is a scientific process that actually began more than a decade ago with scientists inside the NIH and inside BARDA creating this mRNA vaccine. I think the administration, the Trump administration, made sure that we got in record time a vaccine up and out. That's a great thing, and it's something that we should all be excited about.
Wow. Andy Slavitt, breaking news, fired from the Biden administration. He can't last.